Welcome to Loan Officer Success Live, sponsored by Premier Lending, the show where the mortgage industry's top players pull back the curtain. Your host, Devin Dubuc, sits down with industry leaders, top producers, and game-changing mortgage tech innovators, all sharing their unfiltered strategies, bold ideas, and proven secrets for success. Get ready to take notes, think bigger, and play to win, because this is Loan Officer Success Live. Welcome back to LOS.Live. I'm your host, Devin Dubuc, and I've got returning co-host
Jerry Holcomb.
Jerry Holcomb, my man, you have brought a rock star on today. Who'd you bring along?
I brought Shaune Corbett with us. Shaune is an excellent agent out here and a trainer and coach. And we wanted
fellow
to introduce
podcaster.
him, and a podcaster, fellow podcaster here. And we wanted to bring him out here and just showcase him and find out more about him so that everybody else can know more about him. So, Shaune, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Devin and Jerry. I appreciate you guys having me on.
100%. So we talked about that too, podcasts. So you do podcasts here in the Dallas-Fort Worth. In fact, I think that's in the title, right? What's the name of the podcast?
Real Estate Success DFW with Shaune Corbett.
There it is. Yeah. So, and you may find that at RES DFW. I know you put the abbreviations on there too. So I've checked out the show, and you guys should too, right? So if you're tuning into mine, go check out his. We'll make sure to put the credentials down there so you can find it real easy. And if you want to know about real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, this is your go-to guy. That's why we brought him to you. So excited to have you here. I always like to ask our guests a little bit about where you come from. Are you a Dallas native?
I'd say most of my life, yeah, since about 86. I've been in Highland Village, so most of my life has been here in Dallas-Fort Worth. So I'm pretty comfortable with most of the geographical area and cities in general. We've talked about Frisco when it was just a very small little town. Even in the early 2000s, there was like nobody there. So I remember a lot of the cities even before anybody was growing or exploding there.
That's it. Well, how about Flower Mound right here, right? Like this was...
It has, yeah. So we moved to Highland Village, which is next door to Flower Mound, and we were kind of the it at the point where we moved in, and then they built out Highland Shores, and they started building out West Flower Mound.
Right.
I went to Flower Mound Marcus, go Marauders. So I am local through and through for a lot of reasons.
That's awesome.
Getting into real estate, my simple story, I'll try to do this nutshell. I actually worked for, I got an HR degree, and then I used that HR degree because I knew every company had HR.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at.
They should.
Some don't, and they fly. They say what laws, what rules. I'm pretty good at kind of seeing the benefit of being the employee and the employer and getting them to work together. Yeah. So I naturally have a broker style when communicating and working with people. And I see the same thing with buyers and sellers. I know they have competing interests. I know the agent has competing interests. Sometimes you've got three parties in the transaction, you got buyer, seller, and the other agent.
Yeah.
And I've learned to kind of bring everybody to a point where, if we're all motivated and we have the same kind of common goals, what can we do to make it work?
Love that.
It's not just about win-win. It's just about how to, first engage and have a relationship outside of, doing the transaction.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn the bridges.
That's right. We're going to see these people again.
Sometimes you have a party, there's just no way they can win, and it's okay. I mean, it's just part of, doing real estate. Like right now, people selling houses, they're forced to sell and they have to give up a lot in order to sell, maybe not make near as much as they want.
Not comfortable.
They're not going to probably win in the end, but at least they can get the house sold, and that's one major thing they can move on.
Yeah.
So I got into HR, and I ended up becoming vice president of human resources for a company in Southlake, Texas. And they had a custom home building company. And I made an offer to them, and I said, hey, you're selling these $1 million homes, paying all this commission. What if I sold them for free and you paid for my license, my education, my training, my broker license, the cost to set it up, everything.
Yeah.
And I'll sell them and I'll list them and sell them for free.
Oh, wow.
So that was the offer, and that's what they ended up doing. And that's how I got into real estate. And we just made up a name. My brand is True West Realty. Probably somewhere sold maybe about 800 million in real estate. It's done quite a bit, but I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
I've personally sold about over 500 million. So another 300 million came from agents and stuff that have worked through me or with my teams or whatever I've got set up. So that's kind of how I got into real estate. I never worked for a brokerage. It's probably one unique thing about me. I didn't go to a KW through their training program or even work for a boutique brokerage. I had no one teaching me how to represent buyers and sellers. So I did what I thought was fair for anyone that I worked with. And then I did that for a few years, and I started having agents want to join me.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? Do we have splits? I mean, what do you pay?
How do we set this up? Right.
And the only models we've ever had were splits. I kind of knew what KW would charge, or Coldwell Banker, or Century 21, or even Remax. And I saw Remax actually had the most experienced agents because they were the most expensive.
Yeah.
They charge monthly to be a part of it.
They do.
And I know a lot of models are different today, but that was like, back in 2008.
Yeah.
So I decided I would charge, 30 for your leads, and then 20 for your leads, 30 for my leads.
Okay.
And I did that, and I just started having agents join me. I got up to about 10 agents.
That's wild.
Over about 7-8 years. And then I made the move almost 7.5 years ago to eXp Realty. That's where I'm with now, which is a cloud-based brokerage.
Okay.
And I went from selling about 8 to 10 million a year to almost 40 million my third year working
fantastic.
at eXp by myself, just my transactions. And that was 127 transactions.
That's wild.
And I know a lot of people, this is back in 2021, or
Right.
I think it was the year 21. So a lot of agents exploded their business too.
Absolutely.
It just happened to work really well for me. And then I went from 10 agents to a little over 30 agents with eXp. So a lot of things worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got into real estate. And I've moved from just selling a bunch of real estate to now I do a lot of coaching and training.
Fantastic.
And I do a lot of podcasting.
Yeah.
So one difference about my podcast is your audience is actually similar to my audience. Is I'm looking at agents. I want to help them grow their business. I want to build a success. And I offer a lot of free things to them. I got a training facility we're in right here, which is a cool place to do a podcast as well.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So if anyone want to do a podcast, you got a good host, got 2 hosts right here you can work with. It's just been a good opportunity for me to connect with high producing agents. And I call it Real Estate Success DFW because I want to target agents here. I want to build agents here. I want to grow agents here. I'm not trying to be a national brand.
Right.
So that's a very kind of another unique proposition of what I'm doing, where I'm targeting.
I think that's super important, right? You need to know who your audience is. And at the end of the day, you're going to attract those people to you. It's kind of funny for those of you that have been listening for a long time. You just heard the name of this podcast is Real Estate Success DFW. This used to be Real Estate Success Partner, right? So I think, 2 worlds have collided today that we're supposed to.
Well, and maybe I have royalties or some of you.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. But, I love what you said about coaching. We had some guests on earlier today, and we had a similar conversation about that. And, when I first got into the industry, and I'm on the lending side, right? And I've been doing this for 23 years. There wasn't a lot of great coaching, and it was a lot like the way that you stumbled into the real estate side of the business of, hey, just going to figure it out as we go and hope for the best. And it turned out really well for you. And thank goodness it's turned out really well for me as well. Right. But what I love now is being able to give back and take some of these newer people that are coming into the industry and teaching them how to do the job the right way and giving them a running start, right? We've got a gentleman on the team, Jerry, him, Dom Arias from Nebraska. Dom, fresh out of college, freshly married, freshly licensed, new baby was on the way. Now baby is here. And I keep telling him, I'm like, man, A, I'm amazed at where you are in your career at 1 year in, right? But B, if only I had the type of training that you had, right, going backwards. And that's exactly what you're doing here, Shaune, is you're providing that type of training to these agents. So talk a little bit about that, right? Like, what are you providing?
Sure. And my specialty is I'm not very good. So I'll tell you one funny story. This is kind of encapsulates the way I kind of approach things. I was a mentor for a while at eXp, and the way I would enroll people in mentors, I'd enroll them into a private group. And I named it after myself because I never name a team after myself. That's just, it's not even so much to avoid the ego. There's several complications.
Right.
One is that name of the group will exceed who I am as a person is one problem. And 2, I don't know how many people get excited about building someone else's name. Yep. So I've always thought that was a conflicting, issue. And I just didn't buy into that. So I created it after my name just to enroll agents into, and I would be agents that I would mentor.
Right.
But mentor also implies that you're going to teach them a lot of basic things, how to write contracts, how to show houses. And I suck at those things. I don't have the time and energy to show you how to do a lot of those things. So I have staff and I have admin that take care of all those things for me because, I make a very small amount of money per hour doing them.
Yeah.
You doing loan processing is a very low cost per hour for you as a lender. Same thing with you, Jerry. Your objective is to create new opportunities and solve problems.
That's it.
If you're paid to solve problems through your experience, that's how you make more money per hour. So that's where I really niched is I want to make more money per hour and I want to add more value to more people. So I've set a lot of those things out, and I have transactional people that take care of those things. Where I add value is, give me your problem. Oh, okay. Well, they want to buy this house. They want to do this. They don't have enough money. They need to do a lease back. Their option period has inspection items they're scared of. Whatever it is, let's focus on the problems and let's solve those problems. That's where I really add value. So my coaching proposition is less about, how do you do 1, 2, 3? It's, okay, I want to create funnel of opportunities of bringing in new, fresh, applicants or candidates or whoever it is you're looking to work with, and let's continue to build that funnel, and let's do it without spending money.
That's smart.
I'm at least $300,000 to $400,000 invested into lead generating, machines, and it wasn't for me; it was for people on my team. I'm sure you guys have been in some lead generating machines you had to pay for, and the return is low. There's a lot more accountability. Now I've got to manage it, and I've got to make sure they're calling it. And I just didn't want to deal with all those things. So I really moved to, how do we build our funnels without spending money as kind of that starting baseline. And when we graduate from that and we start building our sphere of influence, then I created kind of a 4 training system of sphere, where we start with identifying them, then we're going to manage them, then we're going to create more opportunities with new sphere. And then at the end, we're going to do the most important thing, is create a 40 touch system. If you touch every person that's important to you, that knows you by first name, you know them by first name 40 times, out of 100 people, you'll get 7 referrals a year.
Huge.
So that's free opportunities. That's really kind of where I've moved a lot of my focus on training and coaching.
I love that. And at the end of the day, I want to go back and talk about something, because one of the things that you said was, you really work on the business, not in the business. And that's so smart, because so many people get caught up in, I'm the only person that can do these tasks. And a lot of the times you can outsource those things so you can stay focused on high level activity that's going to bring in that money, right? We call it money making activity. So you mastered that. And now you're training these team members. Hey, you could hire somebody to focus on this stuff. Let's talk about how you're going to go out. Let's how you're going to generate that business and keep that money moving in, but do it without spending money, and just do it by doing amazing service and touch points to the consumers inside of our sphere, right? Yeah. So what does that look like, right? Like, what does that coaching look like? What does that, just a couple touch points. We're not going to give away all the secrets today, right? But like, what are we teaching people?
Well, a couple funny things about that. One is you delegate tasks, not responsibilities. Mm-hmm. That's an important component. Unless you have managerial people, you need to delegate tasks, not responsibilities. So all kinds of things. It could be answering emails. It could be showing houses, be writing contracts. Those are all task related items. You should be delegating them. As far as giving things away, I actually have kind of I don't say the opposite perspective, but I give everything away.
It's abundance mindset.
Well, the reality is I can teach you how to do everything that I'm doing exactly the way I'm doing it, and you're still not going to be me.
Yeah.
And just like I can try to do everything that you're doing, or the way Jerry does, lending. I mean, I can't be you. I can't do it the way you're doing. I don't have your audience. I don't have your temperament. I'm not your person. So
that's right.
I don't mind sharing and teaching everything. I had a really good interview with Josh Harley. He's the founder of Fathom. He's got about 15,000 agents. He's 9th largest brokerage in the U.S. Actually, he and I were texting this morning about the way his third quarter earnings is coming, and it's doing really well. His stock has like tripled, since he started talking at the last podcast we did. And that's exactly what I told him. I said, Josh, I could teach you how to do everything I do, and you're still not going to be me. Yeah. And he's like, and unfortunately, most agents don't have that mindset. They hold on and they control, and they're closed off to helping other agents. I don't think there's any benefit doing that, and you're not going to grow your business if you're not going to open up and share.
Agreed.
I know Jerry does that in his business, and he's willing to open and share. He's the one that reached out and brought me over to here.
That's right.
We met at a training thing with, it was Michelle and Ashley. They have a training program, and it was kind of a kickoff summer. Mm-hmm. And that's actually where Jerry and I, we met, and we were kind of having these conversations back then. And we talked about doing a podcast together. So it's collaboration.
And here we are. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, our conversation was a good conversation, but it was what he was saying. It was a different way than what I've heard most agents do when they talk.
Yeah.
So by hearing that and by understanding that you were coming from a giving position for all these agents and people that you're talking about, and then listening to some of your podcasts and what you're doing, and then the conversations that we had there, I'm like, this is a guy that I want to share with everybody else.
Well, that's what it's all
I
about.
want to give it back to others. So that was the real reason. It was that I saw something in you that I hadn't seen in other agents that were in the type of position that you're in. And I wanted to learn more about it too, because, it's a selfish thing to go, hey, I can still learn from you, even though I'm not an agent, because those tools, a lot of those tools can still translate to any business.
Sure.
So that's why we wanted you to be out here, is because it's good for everybody to know, and it helps spread out to what you do, so we get more business for you. So it's really to help everybody.
Well, we talked about this earlier, Jerry. At the end of the day, you are a product of the people that you're spending the most of your time with, right? And ultimately, you always have to make sure that you're leveling up the rooms that you're in, right? So when we're getting a chance to get out here and meet with Shaune, right, and learn what his philosophy is on how he's going out and getting business, we're able to educate ourselves on maybe some things and techniques that he's doing, but we're also able to educate the audience, right? Absolutely. And that's really what it's all about. So, but let's lean back into that, Shaune. So let's talk about some of these things. You've got 40 touch points a year. What does that look like? Or is that a year, or how does that look? What does that look like?
We get in the nuances of it because there's a training element to it with details. But the reality is you can probably knock out, 25 to 30 of them in some type of automated, organic fashion. And then you're only left with, making so many phone calls and texts and individual meetings left a year to do. Yeah. And you really, it doesn't help you to do more than about, maybe 20 or 30 people in that specific space if you're going to meet with them and talk with them.
Right.
For me, I look for all my, what do you call it, cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Right. So you're really only going to have about 3 to 5 that are giving you probably, 20% of the referrals. It's a large amount.
Yeah.
And if I could consistently, maybe even every couple of months, just have coffee with them. They should be people like and trust anyway.
That's it.
So it shouldn't be an unusual thing, and just staying in front of them. And we're not talking real estate, even though inevitably most of my conversations
to that.
They ask me questions because they know I can solve real estate problems. Yeah. Most of them lead to that. But it's just creating an opportunity to get in front of people like and trust anyway. Yeah. I think that's just a great place to have those conversations and build the credibility. And then the ultimate thing is you want to be top of mind. Yeah. Every agent, and I talk about stories when I'm doing these trainings. I said, every one of us has been there, and you guys certainly have, where you know someone that you have a good relationship with. It could be a neighbor, friend, family member, and they don't call you for a real estate related need. And you're like, what the heck? Don't they know I sell real estate, or
right.
I lend, help people with mortgages, or I can help you with your refi? And then they find out they moved down the street and they got a loan with someone else. It happens to all of us. So a lot of the things that I'm talking do absolutely apply in other spaces. For me, my growth, I'm not trying to grow my sphere myself, because I get a lead opportunity every day of the week is my average. And there's only so many I want to do, and I don't want to add staff. So my sphere is working really, really well. What I'm doing is actually applying my principles to building a library of agents.
Okay.
So I have about 820 in my Facebook group, all agents.
Right.
And my objective is to continue to give them more and more training opportunities. And I drop video content to help them. Like right now, cancellations is a really high thing right now.
Okay.
Things go under contract, and then buyers walk over the littlest things. Okay.
Yeah, we've seen it.
And I'm sure you guys feel it 100%. When you're doing yours. You're like, they walked over that. Like, I mean, and we remember 2-3 years ago, you just skipped option periods.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it wasn't even that long ago.
You were in regardless, right?
Yeah, like and that was a crazy time. Like, so if you're a new agent at that time, you're selling all this real estate, it's really funny because you get transactions easily, and then all you had to do is win it, and then there was no more work.
Yeah,
because I think about like the psychology of things and how things really play out. And you go and you just basically, if you win the contract, you're closing. They're not walking. They have to buy it. They're all
locked in.
They're 120% in.
Winning another bid is almost impossible, right? Like it's just, you're playing the line.
But now they find out the pink color in the room they couldn't access to. It's time to walk. It's like, come on. They walk for any reason now, or wow, the pool's dirty. I don't know if I can keep up with that. And it's really frustrating. I know for a lot of agents, they put in all that time and effort and they finally get a buyer that's ready to go because there's not very many of them. Yeah. And then they walk for that. So I started talking about cancellations, and I gave them some specific things to think about from both the buyer and the seller's perspective. And I do a short video and I put it on my channel. Okay. So that's an example of things that I'm always thinking about things and things that would add value. And then I just create short videos and I share that with them.
That's fantastic.
So my audience is agents. I'm growing agents, and I'm using my sphere of influence campaign to grow that space and stay in front of as many as I can. And I don't have a direction where I'm going with this.
Right.
I'm not trying to add a bunch of agents to my group on EXP. I'm not trying to even sell anything, at least today.
Right.
But I know credibility will grow over time and opportunities come.
Yeah. Well, and again, you're leading with that abundance mindset, right? Like you've got great knowledge and you want to share that with people and help them with their successes. We do something similar. So I host or co-host a morning show every day. We've got about 100 loan officers that show up to the show every morning. We live stream that on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. And
with different lenders, or are they all within your group?
Different lenders from across the United States, and then 90% of them do not work with our company.
Good.
Right?
I love that.
And that's okay, right? Because at the end of the day, we're giving them really cool information. We're actually bringing on guests from East Coast to West Coast that are having great success, and we're teaching them new techniques that they can implement into their business daily. And we're doing that because we care, right? We just want to give back to that community. And you know what? We've made a lot of great friends in that community. And one of those friends is right here, right? Jerry Holcomb.
Yeah,
that's how we ended up connecting together, right? And I wasn't looking for Jerry at that point in time. And I don't know that Jerry was looking for me, but we knew, when we bumped into each other, we both were like-minded, like-hearted, and we had a passion for helping people. And, when he heard what we were doing on the coaching program, he jumped over and said, man, I want to come in. I want to join you,
Yeah, it was really listening to all the people and all the podcasts and all the things that you hear. he resonated with me. So I looked him up and messaged him and said, man, I love what you're saying. And we just started a conversation.
We did. You were on your way to graduation for your son, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, I'll hit you up when you get back.
Yeah. And
how long have you been working with Devin?
Since February.
Yeah.
Okay, just this year.
Yeah. And it was he was authentic, right? He wasn't trying to sell me the position. We were just having a conversation.
That was it.
It's like this. We're having a conversation about stuff. And then it's like, well, this is the things that we do, and this is what we do. And I'm like, I'm not getting that. And I like the authenticity that he gave versus a manager where I was at was corporate.
Yeah.
And it just was not the same.
It's all about production.
Feel. Yeah. It's just rah, you got, and it's like, no, I don't like that. I didn't want that kind of role anymore.
Well, I think you got to lead by example, and that's something that's really important for me, and the one thing that, we do every single day is we get in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have a thing called Call Stars, and we jump on first thing and we talk about what's working, what's not working. We dial in on what we need to be doing for that day, and then they get out there and get after it. But then, the same thing, like going out and how do you build a brand like you're talking about, right? How do you stay in front of people? How do you have those touch points? And we're giving it away for free, but at the same time, if you want to come join us, great, come join us. We're having a good time over here. And I think that's what you're talking about, because I didn't jump on that morning show with the hopes that Jerry was going to come join my team. I jumped on that morning show because I've got a lot of influence in this industry, and I know a lot of the things that people are doing right now to have success for themselves. So I wanted to give back to people, and I think that's what you're doing too, right? And,
sure. Authenticity creates production, productivity as well. So being authentic to yourself, and this is one of those niche things you talk about, is all agents and lenders should have niches, or riches are in the niches, right? So that becomes this authentic thing where I'm really comfortable. That's my avatar. That's the people I would connect with.
Yes.
And when you really get good and know that person or people, then it makes it a really easy conversion. It doesn't take any work.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same thing. You continue to do this and you become authentic about sharing and giving, it's going to create production over time as well.
It does.
And I'm still in that space right now. I haven't really seen much fruit.
Right.
I've gotten a few messages, kind of like what he provided to you. I've had agents reach out. Hey, I really love your, messages and your stories and your podcast. Great. I am getting a few fans in there, but I'm at that kind of like that building stage, and not everyone wants to jump out and even write anything.
Yeah.
They always want to fly on the outside. But I'm diving in. I'm having in-depth conversations. I'm meeting with really high-level agents.
That's the best part. Yeah. I think if you're like me, that's my favorite part. My favorite part is meeting with somebody, learning their story, learning their superpower, and how can I duplicate that and transition that to the people that I serve, right?
Sure.
And ultimately, the quality of the people that come in that room, right? When we have these conversations and the things that they're doing, it's mind blowing, right? We hear these people that have these success techniques, and you're like, well, no wonder you're killing it. Right? If I was doing this, and this, I would be having great success too. Right? So So let's talk about this. So what are the plans, for the future? Like, where are you going with this thing?
That's kind of the crystal ball thing. I don't know. Like I create a lot of content. I do a lot of interviews, and I'm looking for, and I'm sure, offline you could share some people that would be a really good fit for my podcast, because I'm looking for really successful agents. They have to have one of two things I'm always looking for: high social media presence. That's only so I can continue to get my message out there.
That's right.
And if they don't have to have that if they have a lot of production, because they're going to have a story.
That's right.
I want them to tell their story and then share, how they connect with their audience, how they built their success, because it's going to resonate with people out there.
It does.
I can't just tell my story over and over again. It only resonates with a small amount. But when you have other people sharing where they've been from, where they come from, and every one of them have a totally different experience.
Yeah.
That's our 8 a.m. calls that we do every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is somebody else's story.
Well, we learn more from the failures and the successes too, right? And I think that's really important, because, like you said, when you bring on a great guest and they talk about where they are today, but where they started and everything they stumbled through to get there, right? And people start to look at it and they go, oh, because sometimes they see this person who's doing a tremendous amount of production or having a tremendous amount of success, and they go, I wish I could be like so-and-so, right? And then you spend a little bit of time getting to know them and they go, oh, wow. So-and-so really struggled to get to where they are today. Man, maybe I just need to do this and work a little bit harder and push myself a little bit more, and maybe I can get there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you should learn more from your failures than your successes. I always say sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, right? I mean, there's just that opportunity where, even with the failures, you can gain something from it. It's not just not to repeat. It's just so when the next time it comes up, there's a better way or another way of handling it.
Yeah.
And I think we all need to go through that for sure.
We do. So I want to get back to this real quick. So you talked about how you could get out there and start, winning in this industry without having to spend money. What does some of that look like? Just let's give one tip today, right? Something you should be doing right now that's really going to help move the needle in your business.
I know a lot of people right now aren't high, and I'll just give this as an easy example. Is there's different buckets we're going to fill, right? It could be communities, things that you're involved in. It could be there's about 8 websites that I've got that are referral-based websites that will send referrals, and they only charge percentages.
Okay,
that's a real good place for people to start. I'll give you one I've used before that I've had great success with was Clever. Last year, I probably did, 4 listings out of Clever. I'm not looking for cold leads, but, if I can sign up and they call me and say, hey, I've got a seller,
right?
Why not? Right. Yeah. And I have a high conversion rate because I can say things and do things I know other agents can't. So if you're talking to me, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I just have this, and I know not everyone has that confidence in themselves, but I just, have the conversation. I did it. And I closed like 3 of them last year. Clever was a good one. And all I had to do was pay Clever whatever the referral was at the time. There's about 7 or 8 websites that I know of, and I'm going to include that as part of my training when I do, because that's one easy example.
It is.
I'll do one other real quick one. Open houses. Right now, they're kind of dead in some areas, some areas are good. But in an open house, I don't do sign-in sheets.
Okay.
What I do is I build the relationship. I say, hey, Jerry, I'm glad I don't know how you found me, but you found the best house in the neighborhood. I'll say something funny or clever, right?
Right.
And then we kind of break down the awkwardness of me being in the retail store. Hey, can I help you? The objective is for us to be able to make an easy connection. You'll tell me how you found me. And then, what about this house drew you? Let's find something that we can work through. And then eventually I'll start having a casual conversation, not even about the house. I just want to get to know them. And my objective before they leave is I'm going to get a name, a phone number, and an email. And the way it would work is I'd say, hey, you like the 3 bedroom, but you need a 4. You like being in Flower Mound, but you could live in Highland Village, whatever. Is that okay if I make some notes and then I text it back to you to make sure I understand? And I rarely get a no, right? There's a way you can say things.
There is.
And by doing that, now we have broken down the walls, and now I have a text going with you. Once I got a text going with you, I'm going to send you other houses going forward, because the fastest connection with us is through real estate. You're going to respond. Hey, that one sucks, or, oh, I love that one, or no, we're not ready. We're not going to buy now. Just, you're going to give me something.
I love that you said that, because, one of the things that we talk about all the time, we talk about it on the lending side, but we know you guys do it on the real estate side as well, is really getting to know your clients' needs and understanding who they are and what they want, right? And what's truly important to them. And, based on what you just talked about, you're fact finding, you're having a great consultation with them to get a chance to know what they want, what's important, right? I just got back from the Ford event, and, there was a gentleman there, and he was talking about how he'd recently went out to purchase a new home. And he said he talked to a lot of different agents, right? But he said he had one agent that was doing a really great job of investigating and getting to know them and getting to know what their true needs were. And he said that one of the things that he talked about was that their son really wanted a staircase because they'd been living in an apartment temporarily, and he was used to his home back home where he had 2 stories, and he missed his stairs, right? And so when he came back with his proposal, to be their agent, it was the quest for Milo's stairs, right? Was he listening to their needs?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Utilizing that as an opportunity. And I think that's what you're talking about is when you're doing the fact finding at the open house, you're getting to know what they really want. You're getting their permission, right? Hey, is it okay if I send this to you? And then you're doing the follow-up work, and now you got them. Now all of a sudden you have somebody that you can lead in the right direction because you know their needs.
Yeah. Shaune, that was probably the best thing I've heard from an agent on an open house. I sit open houses with agents all the time. I've got 2 this weekend. I'm
You get any traffic? That's the first question.
In some of them, yes. In some of them, no. If they follow the process that I help them with, yes, they get more traffic.
To generate traction, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because of
Like
the
pre-list,
platform, the platform that I give them
house.
to get them broadcast out on TV and stuff like that helps a lot. So, but the first thing that they do is, welcome to the house. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 4-car garage, blah, 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 blah about the house. They're selling the stats without even asking a question about what brought you here. They didn't do the things that you just did. What is it that you're looking for? Tell me more about you. The conversational part of it, of just getting what they're really looking for. And I'm not hearing that from agents out there. So that was like,
well, there it is right there.
Because that's what sets you different than the other people out there is they're trying to sell the features, not the benefits to the person. And that's something that every agent really learn from this guy, because
it's a coaching moment is exactly what it is, right? It's like, hey, stop the camera real quick, go back, listen to exactly what Shaune just said. And now you have a open house strategy that's going to transition walk through traffic into potential borrowers. And
well, it weeds out people that are really interested or they're just tire kicking too. It does weed them out. If they can't give me any like real motivational reason, then they're not really serious about buying, and that's okay. They're not what we're looking for. I think that the term that I used to hear is writing prescriptions without hearing what the real evidence of the problem is. And people do that. They just start writing off prescriptions. You need this, you need this. You don't know what they really need. And chances are, and you guys know, and I'll tell you, the best advice you give to an agent is 99% of the people walking in that door are not buying this house. So stop giving the information on the house.
Yeah.
That will slow them down a lot. And they all know this. They all know they're not buying the house.
Yeah.
So stop trying to sell them a house they're not going to buy.
Ask questions.
Hear what they want to hear what they're looking for. Have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like agents, man, I shut things down quick when they try to negotiate by text. I said, we're going to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hear what I'm saying. I'm not going to hear what you're saying just through text if all it is, because I have no context. I have no voice inflections. I don't know what you really mean. I don't know where our boundaries are. All I hear is, this is it and no other conversation. And that's not true. Yeah, and it's never true.
Yeah.
So I usually always stop, those type of things
Texts
too.
are so flat. I've started either doing a video text or an audio text.
Yeah.
Just because it gives my tone and inflection. If I can't get home on the phone, people don't answer the phones.
That is really good advice. I've never done that. And that is a great way to overcome people that will not answer their phone when you call.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I even put in.
Are you familiar
this is a video text, so they know what they're doing.
Or if you're familiar with
audio text, I'll put a little note, but very small note. But I'm doing the video and audio so that they actually hear my voice, they hear me, they see me, whatever it is, and I'll get more response off of that.
Sure, it'll have.
I was going to say, Jerry. Also, you can use BombBomb. Because BombBomb will actually pop up with a Giphy, which is welcome up.
Yeah.
You always start it off with a big smile and a big wave, and it draws people right in. And there's a little pro tip on that if you're not using BombBomb. BombBomb also has a send and track feature, so that when you send an email, you don't have to put a video in it. You can just use the send and track. It doesn't show anybody. You get to see how many times people open it. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're an agent, putting in an offer and you want to know, is your offer getting any traction? You can use BombBomb send and track feature to send it over, and you'll see how many times they get opened. Did it get forwarded, or did they look at it once and never look at it again? And you can use that as a negotiating tool, because if they looked at it once and never looked at it again, your offer's not getting accepted. So
that's clever, and that's one of my within my sphere of influence training. I use BombBomb because it was the easiest for sending out video newsletters.
Yes.
So when I set up my newsletter campaign, every agent should do a newsletter campaign. It's not hard. And I use Keeping Current Matters for my content. I create an organic video every single month, just one video a month. Anybody can do that. And my organic video is to increase my open rate.
Yeah.
But I use BombBomb because it's the easiest tool to use to send a newsletter and create a video that would increase my open rates.
Yep, it does. So, we've tried this, and effectively what we found is we typically on an email for especially like a mass email, right? When you're doing like mass campaigning, you're lucky to get a 10 to 12% open rate. And with BombBomb, what we found is we get about a 37 to 47% open rate. And this is with clients that maybe weren't direct clients, right? These are clients that were through a consumer direct platform.
Let's come back for a second. You're a lender.
I am.
Yeah.
You're sending out letters to people that are not buying or selling or doing refinance. You're just sending out newsletters.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this? It's relevance, right? I'm not going to open my my CPA's newsletter every single month. Right?
No, you're not.
And he's not going to send them. CPAs don't send them. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not that much. Or my dentist, right?
No.
I'm glad I have a purpose for you, and I'm not interested in lending right now.
Right.
And you find you have an open rate on a newsletter you send out to your database of anybody that's either refi, touched, or in your sphere.
That's it.
And you have what kind of open rate?
37%.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And let me tell you why. It's because you're welcoming them in.
I don't know mine is, to be fair. I don't know mine is.
Watch rate's different, right?
Sure.
Because you see a lot of people that watch 12% and they just bow out and they're like, oh, this isn't for me. And that's okay. But what you're doing is you're staying top of mind. And this is what you're talking about, right? So when you use these types of sequences to get out in front of people, and this is one thing that we've been talking about a lot, is that when do you want to get in front of somebody that's interested in purchasing, refinancing, or you're buying a new home, right?
Hopefully before they do it.
6 months before they do it, 8 months before they do it, right?
Yeah.
If
long before they do it. Yeah, to get the touches up.
Yeah. If you're just getting in front of them, at the time, you may have already lost because they want to know who they're trusting in, right?
They've already got a commitment.
People do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Sure.
And so if you're loving on your sphere, if you're loving on the people that are out there and they're seeing you consistently and they're hearing you with those touch points, right? This is where you're going to create engagement so that when it does come time, they're more likely going to be thinking about you. And that's because you took the time and you care.
I like using analogies. It helps people understand, when you're teaching something, and I'll get an exact perspective on this. So open houses, every time someone comes in the door, you ask them, do you have an agent you're working with? Every time they say yes. And I don't mean to be rude about it, but they're lying to you.
Right.
What they're saying is, no, I don't need to try that shirt on. I don't need any help.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're
How
trying
can
to
I help you today? I'm good.
Don't start with that. I never ask if they have an agent.
Yeah.
I never ask if they're pre-qualified. I don't care about any of those things. If you're going to put in the effort to show up and come look at this house, then I'm going to assume that you have some interest and you're going to do a little bit more work in order for us to put a deal together. And a little bit more work might require pre-qual. A little bit more work might a commitment to me. But I don't start with that, right? I'm dating them. I'm not married to them. So you always want to start with some type of easy yes engagement. And I never ask them that because I'm telling you and I used to say that in my trainings on open houses, they're lying to you. They don't have an agent. Every person in the world knows an agent.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Do you know an agent? Look at this.
Yeah.
Talking to the production person is doing a great job over there. Everyone knows an agent, and they all do. It's easy to say yes to. So don't ask them that question.
Well, in open houses, I've tried to educate the agents to, instead of saying that, to say, what's your agent's name? Because
I don't even care if they do.
I know. I get what you're saying.
Because I'm going to offer so much value. I don't care if you have an agent.
I love the difference, but for those that don't have the actual script down in what you're doing,
sure.
Just say, what's your agent's name?
Yeah, kind of write down their name.
Yeah.
Or get their contact.
Especially if they're not with them. But that way it is different. Now, I'll tell you one thing, there's a lot of agents that don't have a CRM, that don't have anything to do. Well, everybody's got a CRM. I use it, we do it on every Wednesday.
Yeah.
I go through my phone and I'm dialing down my phone list because there are so many names.
Yeah, your phone is your CRM. Effectively, and that's what my CRM is. I don't use my CRM.
There's a lot of people, I don't even know who they are, but they're on my phone because I have 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And I call them and I said, look, you're on my phone. I got your name in my phone. And if I know them, I can do another script. But I say, You're in my phone for some reason. I just wanted to know why. I'm a lender. I'd like to just to chat with you and reconnect. Tell me who you are, so we can talk. I mean, because I'm putting a sword in there, right?
Yeah.
But
there's higher conversion points that we can make without having to cold call anyone. I would even not even. But I'll tell you one funny thing about CRMs. I have a CRM and it's a good CRM. It's very good. But the problem I have with CRMs is their objective is to make conversion on cold relationships. Okay, so I have 10,000 people in there.
Yeah.
My chance of converting people I have no relationship with is incredibly low.
Right.
But in my sphere, I ended up with about 1,500 in my primary and my secondary sphere. Okay. And if you do this and build this over time, it'll build on you. And I can call any one of them and they'll either know my name or know of me pretty well.
Right.
In the 1,500. I probably only have about 800 that I know them by first name, they know me by first name. That's still too many, but I can have a conversation with anyone. I don't have to convert anyone. So I have a funny thing about CRMs. I don't think they're necessary. I think if you can stay in front of just a handful of people group that you focus on, you can build really effective. And I'll give you one other really powerful tip. If you want to have high conversion rate on open rate on your email, I'm sure you guys have heard of HomeBot.
Yes.
HomeBot is unbelievably powerful.
Right.
It's really a lender product. It's not a realtor product. If you're a realtor out there, you absolutely should look at.
You have access to it for free, but
yes,
you have to team up with the loan officer
to get the full
value.
To open it up. And opening it up, it's really an equity qualifier. It's really an equity tool to look at the equity in their house, not so much home value. It's really looking at the equity. So that's what makes it more of a lender tool. But the cool thing about it is my HomeBot goes out to almost 500 people that I have addresses for, and my open rate's 82%. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if you can send out any email.
Want to know?
Yeah, I don't know if you can send out any email on earth that's going to get you anywhere close to that kind of open rate.
That's it.
So I'm married to it. I'm committed to it, and I use it on all my houses. Where I learned about it was a lender signed me up, and he sold me a house. He was the lender for me back in 2008. It was probably like 10 years later. He signed me up for HomeBot because he signed up all of his old clients. Yep. Great idea.
So it pops into
your and I loved it, and I love what it was showing. Yeah. And this thing tells me how much my house could make per day if I wanted to Airbnb it. And no homeowner's thinking like this. And it's not about whether they would consider it. It's about changing their thinking to look at their house as an investment, not just a place they live. And most people can't make that break.
Right.
It's like getting comfortable owning rental property. Not everybody's going to have that risk tolerance. But it's interesting to think about your house in those terms.
What would that look like, right? And how could that start bringing in another revenue source? And right now, I think there's an awful lot of people that are looking for other revenue sources.
That's right.
Well, Shaune, I would love to keep you here all day, and obviously you're a wealth of knowledge, and that's why people need to tune in to the Real Estate Success DFW podcast. Because that's aired weekly. Do you do that weekly?
Every Friday, I have a new episode come out.
Every single Friday. So
I'm loaded.
Yeah, tune into that, especially if you're in the DFW marketplace. That's his commitment. You're his audience. Either if you live here or you're thinking about living here, go check it out. And you're going to meet with him and top tier people from this industry who are doing great things right now. So I truly appreciate you coming in today. What did we not tackle that we should have? Any closing messages?
Just for me, I want to continue to grow my group. I offer events and community things. For real estate, most agents can find maybe training and thing with their local office, but what most of them are missing is a community. I'm really trying to tackle that missing component.
Yeah.
I think the future of real estate, and we could talk about where real estate came from and where the future is, but where we are today is we are all moving to a cloud-based model, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Okay. I would say probably in the next 10 years, you're going to probably find 80-20. 80% are going to be in some type of cloud-based model. And the other 20% are either in a niche or some type of brick and mortar still.
Right.
And there's a purpose that they can be in that niche and it works. But for me, I know the future is cloud-based, but in order to make cloud-based work, is you got to have a community. That's one of the things I'm trying to really effectively build.
Yeah.
So my community is Real Estate Success DFW, and it's on Facebook. Any agent is really what I'm looking for is welcome to join. And then my podcast comes out every Friday. And my office is in Flower Mound. I have a training room here.
We're here right now.
Yeah. We're here right now. I did a training yesterday. I offer free training on Sphere. And then I bring in other successful agents to come in and they teach on a topic. We did a really awesome AI topic yesterday. Wish we had enough time. I could even give you some of the tips I learned from that. It was incredible. So
maybe a part 2, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, great stuff. Shaune, when the folks out there want to find you, we know they found the podcast. How do they find you?
I give out my phone number. Anyone can call me. I'm very easy to get a hold of, 214-228-0383. Probably that. I give out an email. That's not going to help as much. So my phone number, or you can connect on Facebook, and I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah, there you go, guys. And if you don't know how to find him, just look down in the description, or if you're watching, it probably just rolled right across the bottom of the screen. But if it went too fast again, just go to the description. We got it all down there for you.
For sure.
We want you to find Shaune, make it really easy. And again, tune into the podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Obviously, there's a lot to learn, and Shaune is that guy, man. He's constantly educating himself so we can get back out there to inspire and influence you. So thanks again, guys. Thanks, Shaune, for joining us. Jerry?
Man, I sure appreciate you coming out today. I really knew that this was going to be an amazing podcast here, so thank you for all the bombs that you dropped out here for
100%.
us.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry, for inviting me, and Devin for hosting. Appreciate
awesome,
that.
Man. It's been great stuff. Well, guys, again, thank you for tuning in. You can check us out on the web at LOS.Live if you didn't know where that was. But keep coming back for great guests like Shaune, and maybe he'll come back on for a part 2, talk about that AI piece. Until the next time, we'll see you then. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates, and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.